my stones are ready now, my 800 and my 1200. The tool I'm going to sharpen is ready. And this is my base right here. It's basically a plastic base that sort of holds on. It grips a little bit while you're doing what you're doing. So first we got to take out the stone. Okay. And just going to tap a little bit right there and place it inside of the base. Get it nice and... Now, the way this works is that you have like a paste that's built up on the stone as you sharpen. And this paste, what it does, it separates the metal flakes that come off of the blade as you sharpen it from the stone. So it's like a lubricant, okay? And one thing you got to be careful of, and that's making sure your stone stays flat. Because your stone will wear down after a while. If you've been to some of the barber shops, when I was growing up as a kid, my dad, my grandfather, my uncle, we used to all go down to the barber shop once a week, once every couple of weeks to have a haircut. And he had sharpening stones there, but that he was using for his razors. And he was using straight razors, and but they were all rounded from him just constantly, just quickly sharpening on it, okay? So what you got to do is you have this stone right here. It's got a name. I can't remember the name of it right now, but what you use to do is you put it on top of it, and you basically you can rub it across it, and what it does is it helps bring back that flat surface, okay? All right, I do this a couple times on it, okay? And there you go. I also will throw some water on here from time to time, okay, to make sure the paste is being formed. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my knife on here, okay, and then what I want to do is I want to lift it up until this surface here on the opposite side, this beveled surface right here, is flat on the knife. Once it's on the knife, I'm going to put equal pressure across my fingers. I'm going to push the knife across the stone. And I'm going to do this the first time. You take your time. I'm going to do it 8 times, okay? You take your time and do it. You're not in a hurry, okay? Whoop, see, it's already slipping a little bit. That means I'm getting in there really well. How many times have I done this? This is the 8th time right here. Okay. Once you've done it 8 times, okay, I flip it over. All right. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to lay it on it. I'm going to lay it flat on the surface, on the knife, the blade on it. Then I'm going to put the angle on it, put equal pressure across the blade with all my fingers, and push it. Okay. And I'm going to do this 8 times. All right. Take your time, because you want to get the same, movement every time. You want to get the same angle every time, okay? Now, as you do this, you're going to see that you're starting to form a bit of a paste here, and you see some of that paste on the blade itself, okay? What you're going to do is little by little, you're going to actually, there's going to be groove marks on the blade or the original blade, and these are actually from when the blade was originally ground, okay? Now what you want to do is you want to get rid of those. Once you've gotten rid of them, you know you've gotten down to that first layer, and you're going to take away, because that blade actually, it's going to be formed, it's going to have the main part of the blade here, then it's going to be formed a little bit of an angle, that's what you're sitting on, and then you have another little bit of an angle. You want to get rid of that third one. Okay, and how you do it, you just got to work with it and keep working with it so you can get it off there. Okay, that's what you got to do. All right, so let's center this a little bit better here. I'll put a little bit more water on my stone right here. Okay, go back to the right hand side, and here we go. Okay, sorry for the bells. I live right next to a church. 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we're going to switch to the other side again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, slipping again. And 6. Okay? And then I go back and I always look at the work I've done. I look at with the angle of the light to see how well I'm cutting into that. And you see all the paste on the side right here. Huh? This is really good to have, okay? This is going to be the separation from the metal. And I always look to see how well I'm actually cutting into that blade, okay? So it's actually doing pretty well so far. All right, so have I done the left side already? I think I do the left side now. Huh? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so cutting into it a little bit more. All right, so we're going to keep doing this. We're going to go down 8, 8, 6, 6, 4, 4, 2, and 2. Okay, so now we're going into the fours. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Tell you, this table mat's not really holding on too well. Then we're going to get in here, put a little more water. It's getting a little dry. Okay. And then we're going to do the 2s. 1, 2, and 1, 2. So, because this blade, I mean, there's always some work to do. You can always keep going at it and it's something that when I attended my first bushcraft course, well, the only one I've attended actually, the primary one I attended, we did this until we had gotten rid of that first beveled edge, that first angle, until it was much finer, the blade was, okay? We got rid of the factory grind, actually, is what we did. And it took some work, took a lot of work to do that. But we used the same stones, and we worked and worked and worked until we got rid of them off of our Morris, actually. And so this knife here, we don't need to do too much of that. There's actually, this knife right here has already been, it's already in pretty good condition. And I want to show you the next step. So once you've gotten through that, okay, you're going to have a really good edge on it, okay, already. It's actually good enough to work with right now. We're going to then go from an 800 grind or 800 grit stone. We're going to go to a 1200, okay? Now some people may have like a 600 and 1000. There's nothing wrong with that. You go with whatever you have, okay? Remember, the higher the number, the finer the grind, okay? And the finer the grind, which means the finer the edge. And you do have 2,000, 3,000, and more, actually. I mean, when it comes to, like, for example, you want a real razor's edge, you're going to have to really go at it with that, you know? So, you know, one thing good about this is that this is not something you have to do all the time with your knives, okay? Even if you use your knives a good bit, you do not have to do this with them a whole lot. You can stromp your knives on a daily basis while you're out in the field. You stromp them up before you use them, and that's going to return that. And I'll explain that to you a little bit later. So now we're going to continue, and we're going to continue with this, and we're going to now go on the next finer stone. This is the 1200. 4, 5. I'm still going to do 6. You can do 8, but I don't think it's necessary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Something else you have to look at is your stone, okay? If you're dragging that blade across the end of it, you'll see the indentions here, okay? So be careful of that. I see a few indentions for the blade actually hit the edge right here. So be careful when you're doing that, okay? Here we go to this side again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Other side. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to go down to the next one right here. 1, 2, 1, and 2. Okay, so as far as this, what we're doing now, we're going to say that we're finished. The knife is actually quite sharp already. Okay, we're going to say that we've gotten it to where we want it at. Okay, so what I do, of course, is I want to take it off of this right here. You don't necessarily have to, because in reality, I'm going to keep it on because I'm going to use it if I need to, if I realize that the knife is not where I want it to be at. Okay, so the next step I do is I clean it off. I have a good look at the bevel. All right, I look at where I've sharpened it at, I can see clearly the marks of the stone on it. You know, it's really shiny. It's much shinier. It's not as dull as what it was. You don't see any of the tool marks from the grinding stone at the factory, actually. And so that's what we want off of it. Okay? So, next step. We get this out here out of the way. The next step is we're going to get a leather belt or a piece of leather. Some people use a leather on a card or on a block. I just use my leather belt, which I don't have with me at this moment. So give me 1 second here. Something that I always wear when I go to the field or I'm out in the woods or whatever I'm doing camping, I always wear a leather belt, okay? And one of the reasons why is because it just feels much more comfortable to me than the nylon belts do. And this one has a really good use for it, okay? You take your leather belt, you turn on the inside where you have the rough outside right here. Now there exist compounds you can put on here that can assist you with this. I've never used any of them. I don't know much about what they're used for. I don't know if they're like, you know, if they're just like buying, when you buy a brand new pair of shoes and they try to sell you some knee wax at the store to spray your shoes on for another 20 bucks. I don't know if it's necessary or exactly what they do, but what this is designed to do though is when you finish doing all the work you've done to sharpening, the blade is left with a burr on it, okay? And this burr is like whatever angle you finish with, it's left on the blade, okay? Just pointing up, okay? And if you just start using your blade without doing this without stomping or taking this burr off, the burr will just fold over the blade and it'll be a dull blade. So what you want to do is you want to take it off. And how we do that, how I do it, is I get I'll do it like this right here. I'll get my leather belt out, and I usually do it standing up, but you can do it this way here also. Make it nice and tight right here. And basically, on the angle here, on the corner, you're basically going to take your blade and pull it in the opposite direction across this leather, okay? You get a good angle on it, and you just pull it. You're not cutting into it, you're pulling away from it, okay? And you need to do this around 50 times, if not more, okay? And there's other things that you can use too. I've actually seen someone use rubber, like from rubber tire, and even cardboard will do it. A good piece of carton will do it also. You just fold it on the angle, and on the angle you just pull it across it, you know. I've also seen someone use a car window. He rolled it down part ways, and he did the same thing on that, on the glass, and it did the same thing. So, but I'm not going to carry with me in the field a rubber tire or a big cardboard box or my car window. I'm going to carry with me my belt. So this is the technique I'm going to learn and practice and try to master, okay? Look, all these things right here that we're talking about and all these videos, this is all about mastering yourself, okay? Because you're the one who has to learn these things and you're the one that has to do them. There's no sense in carrying a knife. My father used to tell me, what do you call a knife that's not sharp? You call it a stick. And because that's about as much as it's going to be used for. Just beating something over the head with it. So keep it sharp, then you have a good tool. And you got to learn to use these tools. Like anything else, it's useless to carry a knife if it's not sharp and you don't know how to sharpen it and you don't know how to use it correctly. It's useless to carry a first aid kit if you don't know how to give first aid. It's useless to carry a fire kit if you don't know how to properly make a fire. All these things matter. So learn the techniques. And this technique is not the only technique for sharpening. I've seen people do so many different things, and I'm sure they're all just fine, okay? I'm not going to question them. This is the technique that I use and the technique that I learned, and I'm pretty happy with it. So, this thing right here, we're going to do a little test here on my arm, okay? And we're going to see if it shaves, okay? Now, if you look, it just shaved my arm. All this hair, this went away. All that gray and white hair, that's my arm hair. I'm getting old. So this sucker is completely sharp. It's ready to go. Now, in the field, you use your knife. Let's say you use your knife the whole day, okay? You put a lot of effort into it. You've been working with wood, just kind of like that, cooking, that kind of stuff with it. At the end of the day, clean your knife, and then stromp it again. Don't resharpen it unless you've damaged the blade. Stromp it. Do another 50, 60, whatever you need to, stromps on this, and that will recover and that will renew that blade, okay? And you'll still be able to use it without having to resharpen. Because you can imagine if you sharpen your knife every day. If you've ever been to a butcher shop, their knives are all like indented because they're constantly sharpening them. And they do it because it's a bit lazy. In reality, they don't need to do that. What you can do is just stromp them. And that's what your barber does. You go into a barber shop, he's got his straight razor, he stromps it very quickly, and then he shaves you with the same razor at the time when I was a kid that he shaved the guy ahead of you and the guy ahead of you and the guy ahead of him. So anyway, so that's the technique I use for sharpening. This is some information about knives. We're going to do another following series of knives on the best tools for the right jobs and what tools we need to carry. And that's by request. I've had some requests for that. And but this is sharpening and maintaining your tools for the day. And you can do this with with your knives, with your axes. This is all the same technique that I use for sharpening. Okay. So again, I want to thank you for coming to our channel and watching our video. And I want to please ask you to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. And we'll get back to you in any comments. Right, for the moment, I answer them all. Okay? So, and be nice to us. All right? So thanks again for coming to our channel, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon. Goodbye.